How to solve problems involving factoring of polynomials. Know how? This video. Good day, learners! Today we're going to talk about how to solve word problems involving factoring of polynomials. So, to solve those kinds of problems, we just need to follow 3 steps. The first one is to make representation. Second is to create an equation. And the last one, we need to solve the problem. So, I have here the first example. The product of 2 consecutive positive integers is 132. What are the integers? Okay. So, para hindi tayo mahirapan, first thing we need to do is to represent yung mga given natin. Okay. Kung i-analyze natin yung problem, we have 2 consecutive positive integers. Okay. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng consecutive? Pag sinabing consecutive, magkasunod. Okay? Let's now make our representation. So, let x be our first positive integer. Now, kung x yung first positive integer natin, the next consecutive integer would be greater than 1 or mas malaki ng 1. Okay? Or mas malaki ng 1. Kaya, ang representation sa next consecutive integer natin would be x plus 1. So, this would be the second consecutive positive integer. Or pwede rin natin masimplify the first positive integer, the second positive integer. Okay. Next, we have to formulate an equation. Kung magpo-formulate tayo ng equation, we're going to base that one dun sa sentence na binigay or sa information na binigay. Okay. We're going to interpret the first sentence one by one. Okay. The product of 2 consecutive positive integers. So, ano ba yung representation ng 2 positive consecutive integers natin? We have x and x plus 1. Okay? Ano yung operation between them? We have multiplication. Bakit multiplication? Kasi nga sinabi sa problem natin, we have the product. Okay? So, we will have x times x plus 1. So, ito na yung product ng 2 consecutive positive integers. Okay? Next, we have the word is. Ano ibig sabihin ng word is? So, ang mathematical symbol for the word is equal. Okay. Equal. Then, we have 132. So, 132. Again, the product of 2 consecutive positive integers is 132. So, this would be our equation. And the next step we're going to do is to solve. Okay. So, since product, we need to distribute x sa x plus 1. So, x times x, you will have x squared. X times 1, you will have positive x is equal to 132. Now, we need to look for the value of x. To look for the value of x, we need to transpose 132. So, it will become x squared plus x. Yung positive 132 ngayon, magiging negative 132. Ililipat natin siya sa kabilang side ng equation. Is equal to 0. 0 na yung natira dito. So, kung mapapansin natin, this polynomial is factorable. We have x squared plus x minus 132 is equal to 0. So, ano kayang klaseng factoring yung gagamitin natin? So, ang gagamitin natin dito is yung factoring quadratic trinomial. Again, yung sagot natin for this one, for this quadratic trinomial, we are expecting we have binomial times binomial. Okay? Kung naalala nyo yung process sa factoring natin. And if you can't remember, I am going to provide a link sa description section natin. So, we have here 2 parentheses. So, ano yung ilalagay natin dito? First are yung factors ni x squared. So, ano yung factors ni x squared? We have x and x. Okay? The next step, we're going to think of two factors or numbers na pag i-multiply natin, the answer is negative 132. And pag inad naman natin, we have, the answer is positive 1 or the numerical coefficient of the second term. So, ano kaya yung mga factors ni negative 132? We have a lot of factors of negative 132. But then again, yung kukunin lang natin is yung makasatisfy sa condition natin. And that would be negative 11 and positive 12. Okay, bakit negative 11 at saka positive 12? Kasi nga, if we're going to multiply negative 11 at positive 12, the answer would be negative 132. Tapos, pag i-add naman natin silang dalawa, negative 11 plus positive 12, the answer is positive 1. So, nakuha natin yung middle term natin or numerical coefficient ng middle term. Okay. After this, we're going to equate each factor sa 0. Okay. So, continue tayo dito. We have x minus 1 is equal to 0. So, you will have x is equal to yung negative 11, itra-transpose natin. So, magiging positive 11. How about the second factor? We have x plus 12 is equal to 0. So yung 12, again, ita-transpose natin sa right side kasi we're solving for the value of x. Okay? So you will have x is equal to negative 12. Okay. So since we have two answers, saan kaya dito yung tamang sagot? Okay, the correct answer is positive 11. Bakit positive 11? Kasi nga, yung given o sa problem natin nakalagay o nakasaad na ang hinahanap natin ay consecutive positive integers. Okay? So, we're going to consider 11 as one of the consecutive integers. At ito namang negative 12, we're going to discard this one. So, this is discarded. Okay. So, focus tayo ngayon sa 11. Therefore, we're going to draw the conclusion. X is equal to 11 is our first positive integer. Okay. Babalikan natin yung representation natin. X is the first positive integer. And the next one, we have x plus 1. So that is x plus 1 is equal to, we're going to substitute the value of x na 11. 11 plus 1 equal to 12. So, sa madaling salita, 12 is our second consecutive positive integer. Therefore, yung missing positive integers natin ay si 11 and 12. And if you're going to check them, 11 times 12 would be equal to 132. Let's have another example. The square of a positive integer is 34 less than twice the square of the next consecutive positive integer. What are the integers? Again, the first thing that we need to do is to represent the problem. Now, I am encouraging the students, mahihirapan kasi tayo na mag-solve ng problems ng ganito pag hindi natin na-master yung translation of verbal phrases into mathematical phrases. So before you have this type of problems, make sure na na-master nyo na yung concept na yun. Okay, let's represent the problem. So we're going to let x be the positive integer, or the first positive integer. If we're going to interpret, we have two consecutive integers. Okay, and they are both positive. Kaya yung x natin, it will represent the first positive integer. So since consecutive siya, therefore yung next na integer would be greater than 1. So, yung x plus 1, siya naman yung next or yung second consecutive positive integer natin. Okay. The next step that we're going to do is to formulate the equation. Okay. So, pag-formulate ng equation, babasahin lang natin yung sentence natin or sentences natin. Then, word by word, we're going to translate the verbal phrases into mathematical phrases. Okay. First, the square of a positive integer. Okay. Dito lang muna tayo. The square of a positive integer. So, in this phrase, yung dinidescribe niya is yung first na positive integer. Tama? Okay, sabi dito, the square of a positive integer. Alam natin na yung positive integer natin is x. So, since we're going to square it, kasi nga nakalagay dito the square of a positive integer. So, as a representation, we will have x squared or the square of the first positive integer. Then next is, so yung word na is, again, in symbols would be written as an equal sign. Okay? Next is 34 less than. Okay. 34 less than. Pag sinabi natin 34 less than, yung word na less than signifies subtraction. Pero yung common mistake ng students ay nilalagay nila sa unahan yung 34. Okay? So since 34 less than, so, yung minus 34 natin will be written sa dulo. Okay. So, minus 34. Next, twice the square of the next consecutive positive integer. Twice. When we say twice, big sabihin yan, we're going to multiply it by 2. So, twice the square of the next consecutive positive integer. Yung next consecutive positive integer natin is x plus 1. Tama? So, ilalagay natin siya sa loob ng parenthesis. Okay. Then, square. Bakit ganito? Kasi nga, the phrase na ini-interpret natin is twice the square of the next consecutive positive integer. Okay? So that it will be written as 2 times the quantity of x plus 1 squared. Okay. Ilapit lang natin si minus 34 at 34. Okay. So ito na yung magiging equation natin. Next step, we need to solve. We need to solve for the value of x. Okay. X squared is equal to, uunahin muna natin i-square yung x plus 1, tsaka natin mumultiply si 2. So, again, we're going to follow yung rules ng PEMDAS. So, 2 times, this is x plus 1 squared. So, this is just a square of a binomial. So, first, square the first term. X squared, we will have x squared. Next, multiply the first and the last term by 2. So, x times 1 is x. X times 2 is equal to 2x, or positive 2x. You will have plus 2x. Then the last step, square the last term. So 1 squared, you will have 1 plus 1 minus 34. Okay, next, we're going to distribute 2 sa loob ng parentheses or sa expression na nasa loob ng parentheses. So 2 times x squared, you have 2x squared. 2 times 2x, you will have 4x. 2 times 1, you will have 2 or positive 2. Then bring down minus 34 or negative 34. Okay, next we're going to combine similar terms. So since mas marami yung expression natin sa right side, pwede na sa x squared na lang yung ililipat or itatranspose natin sa right side ng equation. So ang matitira dito would be 0. That would be 2x squared. So si x squared, malilipat sa right side, magiging negative x squared. So minus x squared. Then copy the rest, you have plus 4x. Ang 2 at saka negative 34 naman, pwede nating masimplify. So 2 minus 34, you will have what? You will have negative 32. Okay, next. 0 is equal to 2x squared and negative x squared. Pwede pa silang makombine. So 2x squared minus x squared, we will have x squared. Then bring down 4x minus 32. Now, since nakuha na natin yung quadratic trinomial natin, or general quadratic trinomial, same sa number 1 na ginawa natin, we're going to use factoring para makuha ang values ng x. Okay. So, you will have x squared plus 4x minus 32 is equal to 0. Okay? Lilipat ko lang yung pagkasulat niya para hindi tayo malito. Okay, let's look for the factors of this quadratic trinomial. Now, since the numerical coefficient of a is 1, same pa rin yung gagawin natin sa problem number 1. So, first is to get the factors of x squared. Factors ng x squared natin, we have x and x. Then, we're going to concentrate with the last term. We have negative 32. So, isip tayo ngayon ng mga factors na kung saan, pag i-multiply natin, ang result would be negative 32. At pag i-add naman natin, the result would be positive 4, or yung middle term natin, numerical coefficient ng middle term natin. So, ano kaya yung mga factors na negative 32? So, the factors of negative 32 would be positive 8 and negative 4. Okay. Bakit positive 8 at saka negative 4 yung nilagay natin? Kasi nga, pag minultiply natin si 8 at saka sa negative 4, ang sagot ay negative 32. Pag in-add naman natin sila, that would be equal to 4. Okay? So, we're going to equate each factor to 0. Okay. Para makuha natin yung value ng x. Okay, dito muna tayo sa first factor. X plus 8 is equal to 0. So, since we're looking for x, ililipat lang natin or transpose lang natin si 8 sa right side ng equation. So, ang positive 8 magiging negative 8. Next, x, yung negative 4 naman, ita-transpose natin sa right side ng equation. Kaya ang negative 4 is magiging positive 4. Now, saan sa dalawa yung tamang sagot? So, based sa question natin, nakalagay dito, dapat, or yung hinihingi or nawawala would be the positive integer. So, yung i-consider lang natin na value is yung positive 4. Then, we have to discard negative 8. Okay, so negative 8 will be discarded. Consider natin si positive 4. Okay. Balik tayo ngayon sa representation. Ano yung hinahanap natin? We're looking for the first positive integer and the next consecutive positive integer. So, nakuha na natin si first positive integer which is equal to 4. So, 4 now is the first positive integer. At x plus 1 or 4, substitute natin si 4, plus 1 is equal to 5 would be our next consecutive positive integer. Therefore, the two positive consecutive integers are 4 and 5. Okay, down with our last problem. The product of two consecutive even integers is 224. Find the integers. Again, first step, we're going to represent the problem. So we are considering two consecutive even integers. So we're going to let x be our first even integer. And x plus 2. Okay, bakit x plus 2? Kasi nga nakalagay sa problem we have even integers. So as we all know, if the first even integer is 2, then the next even integer would be 4. Tama? And if the first even integer is 6, so the next even integer would be 8. Kung mapapansin natin, we're going to add 2 para makuha yung succeeding or yung next consecutive integer. Therefore, we're going to represent the next consecutive integer by x plus 2. Okay. So, pag even consecutive integer add consecutive integer, we're going to consider x plus 2, x plus 4, and so on. Pero pag ang word na nasa problem is consecutive lang, then we're going to consider, or we're going to represent it by x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, and so on. Okay, so x plus 2 is the next or second consecutive even integer. Then we're going to formulate the equation. So yung equation natin, we have the product of two consecutive even integers. So ito muna yung i-interpret natin. So as a representation, we're going to multiply x by x plus 2. So that is x times the quantity x plus 2. Then is. So is natin, that would be equal 224. So we have 224. After having our equation, proceed na agad tayo dun sa pag-solve ng equation natin. Okay. So ang x natin, we're going to distribute it sa x plus 2. X times x, we will have x squared. X times 2, we will have 2x. And equal to 224. Okay, next, we're going to transpose 224 sa left side ng equation. So yung positive 224 magiging negative 224. So walang natira sa right side, so that would be equal to 0. So, again, this is a quadratic or general quadratic trinomial. So we can use our knowledge on factoring general quadratic trinomial sa pagkuha ng values ng x natin. So we have x plus 2x minus 224 is equal to 0. Let's look now for its factors. Again, look for the factors of x squared. So, ang factors ng x squared, we have x and x. Next, focus tayo sa third term or sa constant term. We're going to look for the factors. Isip tayo ng factors, dalawang factors na negative 224 na kung saan ang product is negative 224 at ang sum nila is positive 2. So, ang factors niya would be positive 16 and negative 14. Okay, after getting the factors, equate natin each factor to 0. So, x plus 16 is equal to 0. And x minus 14 is equal to 0. Okay. Dito muna tayo sa first factor. Let us solve for x. So, x is equal to, i-transpose natin si 16. Yung positive 16 magiging negative 16. Okay. Next, x is equal to yung x minus 14, yung negative 14, i-transpose natin sa right side ng equation, magiging positive 14. So again, we have two values of x, negative 16 and positive 14. Okay, titignan agad natin yung given sa problem or information na binigay sa problem. Nakalagay dito, two consecutive even integers. So yung question, can we consider negative 16 as one of the answers? Yes or no? Okay, pwede. So, pwedeng negative 16 yung sagot natin, pwede namang positive 14. So, kung ang negative 16 ang first even integer natin, ang next consecutive even integer naman natin would be x plus 2 is equal to negative 16. Substitute natin si x, ang x value na negative 16, then plus 2. We will have negative 14. So negative 14 is the next consecutive even integer. Aside from negative 16 and negative 14, we can also consider positive 14 as the answer. So we can consider also positive 14 as one of the answers. So kung 14 yung first even integer natin. Ang next consecutive even integer natin would be so x plus 2. So ang x ngayon magiging 14. 14 plus 2. You will have 16. 16 would be the next consecutive even integer. So if we're going to check kung tama ba yung sagot natin, halimbawa negative 16 and negative 14 yung magiging sagot natin, you will have negative 16 times negative 14, it would be positive 224. And positive 14 times positive 16, still you will get positive 224. Now it's your turn. Try to answer the following questions. And that's a wrap. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Sir Ninyo. And you can also post your math problems in the comment section. And we will do our very best to provide solution to your questions. Because remember, every problem has a solution. At kung math ang problema ninyo, ako ang kaagapay ninyo, ako ang Sir Ninyo.